Look, most people are running from the one thing that would actually set them free. They're avoiding the grind. They're dodging the discomfort. They're looking for shortcuts to places that don't have shortcuts. And then they wonder why nothing changes. They wonder why they're still stuck in the same place year after year, telling themselves the same lies about tomorrow. You want to know the truth? The work is the reward. The pain is the teacher. And until you learn to fall in love with both, you're going to keep spinning your wheels, searching for something that's been right in front of you the whole time. I'm talking about falling in love with the work, not tolerating it, not enduring it, falling in love with it. There's a difference between showing up because you have to and showing up because you can't imagine being anywhere else. There's a difference between grinding because someone told you that's what successful people do and grinding because the process itself feeds your soul. Most people hate Mondays. They drag themselves out of bed. They hit snooze 3 times. They walk through their day like zombies, counting down the hours until they can go home and forget about everything they're supposed to be building. And then Friday comes and they celebrate like they just escaped prison. But here's the thing. If you're celebrating Friday, you've already lost. Because that means you spent 5 days of your life doing something you can't stand, and you think 2 days of freedom makes up for it. That's not living. That's surviving. And surviving is not what you were built for. You were built to create, to push, to test yourself against something meaningful. But somewhere along the way, you got convinced that work is punishment, that struggle means something's wrong, that if you're not comfortable, you're doing it wrong. Let me tell you something. Comfort is a slow death. Comfort is where dreams go to die. Comfort is the place people hide when they're too afraid to find out what they're actually capable of. And if you're comfortable right now, I need you to hear this. You're not safe. You're stuck. And stuck feels safe until you wake up 10 years from now and realize you've been running in place the whole time. The pain you're avoiding is the exact thing you need. It's not your enemy, it's your teacher. It's showing you where you're weak, where you're lying to yourself, where you're settling for less than you know you deserve. And instead of leaning into it, instead of asking what this pain is trying to tell you, most people run. They distract themselves. They numb out. They binge Netflix or scroll social media or drink or eat or do anything they can to avoid sitting with the discomfort that's trying to push them forward. But here's what happens when you run from pain. It doesn't go away. It follows you. It waits. And eventually, it shows up in ways you can't ignore. Regret, bitterness, that hollow feeling that comes from knowing you had a chance and didn't take it. That's the real pain. Not the temporary discomfort of hard work, the permanent ache of wondering what could have been. So stop running, turn around and face it. Look at the work in front of you and ask yourself, what if I stopped treating this like a burden and started treating it like a privilege? What if instead of asking how do I get through this, I asked how do I make this mean something? What if the grind isn't something I have to survive but something I get to experience? Because here's the shift. When you fall in love with the work, everything changes. The alarm clock isn't your enemy anymore. It's your opportunity. The long hours aren't a sacrifice. They're an investment. The setbacks aren't failures. They're feedback. And suddenly, you're not dragging yourself through life. You're attacking it. I see people all the time chasing results. They want the body, the business, the money, the recognition, and there's nothing wrong with wanting those things. But they're so focused on the destination that they hate every step of the journey. They're miserable in the gym because they're only thinking about the six-pack they don't have yet. They're frustrated in their business because they're only thinking about the revenue they haven't hit yet. And because they hate the process, they quit before they ever get close. But the people who win, they're not thinking about the finish line. They're in love with the steps. They're obsessed with the reps. They get a high from showing up even when no one's watching. They're not waiting for success to feel good. They feel good because they're doing the work. And that's the secret. When you love the process, the results are inevitable. Because you're not quitting, you're not looking for shortcuts. You're showing up every single day, getting better, learning, adjusting, and building something that can't be taken away from you. Let me tell you about pain, real pain. Not the kind you feel when your legs are burning in the gym or when you're tired from working late. That's temporary. That's nothing. I'm talking about the pain of looking back at your life and realizing you played it safe. The pain of knowing you had potential and never used it. The pain of watching other people live the life you were too afraid to chase. That's the pain that destroys you. That's the pain that lasts. So which pain do you want? The pain of discipline or the pain of regret? Because you're going to feel one of them. That's guaranteed. But only one of them makes you stronger. Only one of them builds something. And only one of them you can be proud of when you look back. People think discipline is about restriction, about forcing yourself to do things you don't want to do. And maybe at first, that's what it feels like. But over time, something shifts. Discipline becomes freedom. Because when you're disciplined, you're not controlled by your emotions. You're not a slave to your moods. You're not waiting to feel motivated before you take action. You just do what needs to be done. And that consistency, that reliability you build with yourself, that's what creates the life you actually want. Motivation is a feeling. It comes and goes. Some days you wake up ready to conquer the world. Other days you can barely get out of bed. And if you're relying on motivation, you're in trouble. Because on the days it's not there, you're done. You're stuck. But discipline doesn't care how you feel. Discipline is the promise you made to yourself when you were motivated, honored on the days when you're not. And here's what most people don't understand. The days when you don't feel like showing up are the most important days. Those are the days that separate the people who want it from the people who need it. Anyone can work hard when they feel good, when the sun's shining and everything's going right. But what about when it's hard, when you're tired, when nothing's working, when it feels like you're putting in all this effort and getting nothing back? That's when you find out who you really are. Most people quit right before the breakthrough. They put in the work, they show up, they grind, but they don't see results fast enough, so they stop, and they never know how close they were. They never know that if they had just pushed through one more week, one more month, everything would have clicked, but they gave up. And now they're back at square one, convincing themselves it wasn't meant to be. But it's not about meant to be, it's about commitment. It's about deciding that no matter what, you're seeing this through, no matter how long it takes, no matter how hard it gets. You're not looking for the exit, you're not waiting for permission, you're all in. And when you make that decision, really make it, the universe has no choice but to respond. I'm not talking about some mystical idea where you just think positive thoughts and everything works out. I'm talking about the fact that when you commit fully, you stop wasting energy on doubt. You stop second-guessing yourself. You stop looking for escape routes. And all that energy you were spending on wondering if you should quit gets redirected into actually doing the work. And that's when things start to move. You want to know why some people seem to have all the luck? It's not luck, it's focus. They're not distracted by 100 different opportunities. They're not jumping from one thing to the next every time something gets hard. They picked a path and they stayed on it long enough to see it through. And yeah, maybe they failed a bunch of times along the way. Maybe they had to pivot and adjust and learn hard lessons, but they didn't quit. And eventually, all that focused effort compounds into something undeniable. That's what people don't see. They see the success, they see the results, but they don't see the years of work that nobody was watching. They don't see the nights where that person wanted to quit but didn't. They don't see the moments of doubt, the fear, the uncertainty. They just see the highlight reel and think it must be nice to be talented, to be lucky, to have it easy. But nobody has it easy. Nobody. The people at the top, they paid a price you didn't see. They sacrificed things you're not willing to sacrifice. They showed up on days when everything in them was screaming to stay in bed. And they did it not because they're special, but because they decided the work was worth it. They decided the pain was worth it. They fell in love with the process of becoming. And that's what I need you to understand. You're not going to fall in love with the work by thinking about it. You're not going to enjoy the pain by reading motivational quotes on Instagram. You have to go through it. You have to show up and do the thing that scares you, the thing that's hard, the thing that makes you uncomfortable. And you have to do it enough times that your brain stops fighting you and starts trusting you. Your brain is designed to keep you safe. That's its job. And safe, to your brain, means familiar. It doesn't care if familiar is good for you. It doesn't care if familiar is making you miserable. Familiar feels safe. So every time you try to do something new, something challenging, your brain freaks out. It throws every excuse at you. You're too tired. You're not ready. What if you fail? What if people laugh at you? What if it doesn't work? And most people listen to that voice. They believe it. They think that because they feel afraid, it means they shouldn't do the thing. But fear is not a stop sign. Fear is a compass. It's pointing you toward the thing you need to do. Because the things that scare you are the things that have the power to change you. The things that make you uncomfortable are the things that help you grow. So when you feel that resistance, when every part of you is telling you to quit, that's not a sign to stop. That's a sign you're on the right path. That's your brain realizing you're about to level up, and it's trying to keep you where you are, and you have to thank it for trying to protect you, and then do the thing anyway. Because on the other side of that discomfort is a version of you that's stronger, more capable, more confident. A version of you that knows you can handle hard things because you've done it before. And every time you push through, you're building evidence for yourself. You're proving that you're not fragile, you're not helpless, you're not stuck. You're someone who does hard things. And that identity, that belief in yourself, that's what changes everything. Most people are walking around with a weak identity. They see themselves as victims, as people who things happen to. They blame their circumstances, their past, other people. And as long as they're blaming, they're powerless, because if it's someone else's fault, then someone else has to fix it. And guess what? Nobody's coming to save you. Nobody's going to hand you the life you want. You have to build it yourself. And that starts with taking ownership of where you are right now. Yeah, maybe you got dealt a bad hand. Maybe life hasn't been fair. Maybe you've been knocked down more times than you can count. But you're still here. You're still breathing. And that means you still have a chance. So stop waiting for things to get easier. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop waiting for permission. Just start. Start messy. Start scared. Start with no idea what you're doing. But start. Because action creates clarity. You don't figure out your path by thinking about it. You figure it out by walking it. And yeah, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to waste time on things that don't work. You're going to look back and wish you had done some things differently. But at least you'll be moving. At least you'll be learning. At least you'll be building something instead of sitting on the sidelines watching everyone else live. And let's talk about that. The comparison trap. You're scrolling through social media looking at everyone else's wins and wondering why you're not there yet. You're comparing your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20. You're comparing your behind the scenes to someone else's highlight reel. And it's destroying you. Because you're not seeing the full picture. You're not seeing their struggles, their failures, the nights they cried, the times they wanted to quit. You're just seeing the polished version they want you to see. So stop comparing. Your journey is yours, It doesn't look like anyone else's, and it's not supposed to. You're not here to copy someone else's path. You're here to create your own. And the only person you need to be better than is the person you were yesterday. That's it. That's the only comparison that matters. Are you growing? Are you learning? Are you pushing yourself? If yes, you're winning. It doesn't matter what anyone else is doing. And let me tell you something about the people who are actually successful, the ones who built something real. They're not worried about you. They're not checking to see what you're doing. They're too busy working. They're too focused on their own growth to care about who's watching or who's ahead or who's behind. They're locked in, and that's the level you need to get to, where you're so committed to your own path that you don't have time to worry about anyone else's. That's when the magic happens. When you stop performing for other people and start building for yourself. When you stop needing validation and start validating yourself. When you stop looking for proof that you're on the right track and you just trust the process. Because the process works. It's worked for everyone who's ever achieved anything. And it'll work for you if you give it time. But you have to give it time. You have to be patient. You have to understand that real growth doesn't happen overnight. It happens in the quiet moments when no one's paying attention. It happens in the small decisions you make every single day. Do I show up or do I make an excuse? Do I push through or do I quit? Do I take responsibility or do I blame? Those little decisions compound. And over time, they create a life. So fall in love with those decisions. Fall in love with the discipline. Fall in love with showing up even when it's hard. Fall in love with the work that nobody sees, because that's where the real transformation happens. Not on stage, not when you're celebrating the win, but in the grind, in the early mornings and the late nights, in the moments when you're exhausted and everything in you wants to quit, but you keep going anyway. That's where champions are made, not in the spotlight, in the dark, when no one's watching and no one's cheering, and you have to be your own motivation. That's when you find out what you're made of. And if you can fall in love with that, if you can embrace the pain and the struggle and the uncertainty, there's nothing you can't do. Because here's the thing about pain, it's temporary. The soreness fades, the exhaustion goes away, but the person you become by pushing through, that lasts. The strength you build, that stays. The confidence you earn, that's yours forever. And nobody can take that from you. So stop running from discomfort. Stop avoiding the hard conversations. Stop making excuses. Stop waiting for the right time. There is no right time. There's only now. And now is when you decide. Now is when you commit. Now is when you stop talking about what you're going to do and you actually do it. And yeah, it's going to be hard. It's supposed to be hard. If it was easy, everyone would do it. But you're not everyone. You're someone who's willing to do what others won't so you can have what others can't. You're someone who understands that the pain is part of the process, that the struggle is where the growth happens, that the work is the reward. So get to work, fall in love with it, enjoy the pain, embrace the grind, and watch what happens when you stop making excuses and start making moves. Because the life you want is on the other side of the work you're avoiding, and every day you wait is a day you're choosing to stay where you are. So stop waiting, start working, and fall in love with becoming the person you know you're capable of being. The clock is ticking, your life is happening right now. Not tomorrow, not next week, right now. So what are you going to do with it? Are you going to keep playing small, keep making excuses, keep waiting for permission? Or are you going to step up and claim what's yours? Are you going to do the work? Are you going to embrace the pain? Are you going to fall in love with the process of becoming? Because that's what this is about. Becoming, not arriving. Not reaching some finish line where everything is perfect and you can finally relax. There is no finish line. There's just the next level. And the next one after that. And the joy isn't in getting there. The joy is in the climb, in the work, in the pain, in the growth. In knowing that every day you're becoming a little bit stronger, a little bit better, a little bit closer to the person you're meant to be. So stop searching for shortcuts. Stop looking for hacks. Stop trying to find the easy way. There is no easy way. There's only the right way. And the right way is the hard way. It's the way that tests you, challenges you, breaks you down so you can build yourself back up stronger. And if you can embrace that, if you can fall in love with that, nothing can stop you. Nothing. You hear me? Nothing. Not your past, not your circumstances, not other people's opinions, not your own doubts. Because when you're in love with the work, when you're committed to the process, when you're willing to embrace the pain, you become unstoppable. You become someone who doesn't quit, someone who doesn't need motivation because discipline is enough, someone who doesn't wait for opportunities because you create them. And that's who you need to be. Not perfect, not fearless, but committed, disciplined, willing to do what it takes for as long as it takes. That's the difference between the people who make it and the people who don't. Not talent, not luck, commitment. The willingness to keep showing up long after everyone else has quit. So I'm asking you right now, are you willing? Are you ready to stop making excuses and start making progress? Are you ready to embrace the pain and fall in love with the work? Because if you are, if you really are, your life is about to change. Not because something magical is going to happen, but because you're going to show up differently. You're going to work differently. You're going to think differently. And when you change, everything changes. Let me tell you something else about pain, something most people never realize. Pain is information. It's your body's way of communicating. It's your soul's way of saying, pay attention. Something here needs to change. And when you learn to listen to pain instead of running from it, when you learn to ask, what is this trying to teach me, instead of how do I make this stop, everything shifts. The pain in your muscles after a hard workout, that's your body rebuilding itself stronger. The pain of failure, that's life showing you what doesn't work so you can find what does. The pain of being misunderstood, that's the cost of being different, of standing out, of refusing to blend in with everyone else who's playing it safe. Every type of pain has a message, and if you're brave enough to sit with it, to really feel it instead of numbing it or avoiding it, you'll discover that pain is one of the greatest teachers you'll ever have. But most people don't want to hear that. They want the pill, the quick fix, the 5 easy steps to success. They want someone to tell them it's going to be comfortable and easy and fun all the time. And that's a lie. That's the lie that keeps people stuck. Because when they hit their first real obstacle, when things get hard, they think something's wrong. They think they're not cut out for it. They think it's a sign to quit. But it's not a sign to quit. It's a sign that you're doing something that matters. Because nothing worth having comes easy. Nothing meaningful happens without struggle. And if you're not willing to struggle, if you're not willing to suffer a little bit, then you're not willing to grow. And if you're not growing, you're dying. There's no middle ground. You're either getting better or you're getting worse. You're either moving forward or you're falling behind. There is no standing still. So where are you right now? Really, be honest with yourself. Are you growing? Are you pushing yourself? Are you doing things that scare you? Or are you comfortable? Are you playing it safe? Are you doing the same things you were doing last year, getting the same results, wondering why nothing changes? Because if you want different results, you need different actions. You can't keep doing the same thing and expect your life to magically transform. You can't keep showing up the same way, thinking the same thoughts, making the same choices, and hope for a different outcome. That's insanity. You know what you need to do. Deep down, you know, you've always known. But knowing and doing are two different things. Most people know what they should do. They know they should eat better, exercise more, read more, learn new skills, build better relationships, work on their goals, but they don't do it. Because doing it is hard. Doing it requires change, and change is uncomfortable. So they stay where they are. They stay in the job they hate, the relationship that's draining them, the body they're ashamed of, the life they're just tolerating. And they tell themselves it's fine, it's not that bad. Other people have it worse. But that's not living, that's existing, that's settling. And you weren't put here to settle. You weren't given this one life to just get by. You were put here to become something, to build something, to contribute something. And until you accept that, until you own that, you're going to keep feeling that nagging sense that something's missing. That quiet voice in the back of your mind that keeps asking, is this it? Is this all there is? And the answer is no. There's so much more. But you have to be willing to go get it. You have to be willing to step outside your comfort zone. You have to be willing to risk failure, to look stupid, to fall on your face and get back up. Because that's the price of growth. That's what it costs to become the person you're capable of being. And here's the thing, you already know you can do it. Because you've done hard things before. You've survived challenges you thought would break you. You've overcome obstacles that seemed impossible at the time. You've been knocked down and got back up. You've failed and tried again. You have evidence that you're capable. You have proof that you're stronger than you think. But for some reason, you keep forgetting. You keep telling yourself stories about why you can't, why it's too late, why you're not good enough, why other people can do it but you can't. And those stories are keeping you trapped. Those stories are the prison. And the crazy thing is, you're both the prisoner and the guard. You're the one telling yourself you can't leave. You're the one holding yourself back. And you're also the only one who can set yourself free. So what's it going to be? Are you going to keep telling yourself the same limiting stories? Are you going to keep making the same excuses? Are you going to keep waiting for someday? Or are you going to decide right now, in this moment, that enough is enough, that you're done playing small, that you're done settling, that you're ready to do whatever it takes to become who you're meant to be? Because I'm telling you, the moment you make that decision, the real decision where you're all in and there's no going back, your life will never be the same. Not because the world changes, but because you change. And when you change, when you show up differently, the world responds differently. Opportunities you never saw before will appear. People you need will show up. Resources you thought were unavailable will become available. Not because of magic, but because you're paying attention now. You're taking action now. You're showing up now. And when you consistently show up, when you consistently do the work, when you consistently push through the discomfort, results are inevitable. But you have to trust the process. You have to understand that you might not see results immediately. You might work hard for weeks, months, even years before you see the breakthrough. But that doesn't mean it's not working. That doesn't mean you should quit. Because underground, beneath the surface where you can't see, roots are growing, foundations are being built, and one day, everything you've been working for will break through. And when it does, people will call it overnight success. They'll call it luck. They'll say you had advantages they didn't have. But you'll know the truth. You'll know about the nights you couldn't sleep because you were worried. The times you wanted to quit but didn't. The failures nobody saw. The doubts you had to push through. The sacrifices you made. You'll know that it wasn't luck. It wasn't overnight. It was the result of consistent effort over time. It was the result of falling in love with the process. It was the result of learning to enjoy the pain. And that's what I want for you. I want you to get to the point where you're not just tolerating the hard parts. You're embracing them. You're seeking them out. Because you understand that the hard parts are where the growth is. The hard parts are where you separate yourself from everyone else who's comfortable. The hard parts are where you prove to yourself what you're made of. There's a version of you that exists in the future, a version that's already achieved the things you're working toward. That version of you looks back at where you are now and knows exactly what you need to do. That version of you isn't afraid, isn't making excuses, isn't waiting for the perfect time. That version of you just did the work. Day after day, week after week, year after year, until the person they were became the person they wanted to be. And here's the beautiful thing. That version of you already exists. It's already real. You just haven't caught up to it yet. But every day you show up, every day you do the work, every day you push through the resistance, you're closing the gap, you're becoming that person. And the more you show up, the easier it gets, not because the work gets easier, but because you get stronger. You build capacity. You build tolerance for discomfort. You build confidence in your ability to handle whatever comes your way. And that confidence, that deep knowing that you can figure things out, that you can handle hard things, that's what changes your life. Because when you're not afraid of challenges, when you're not afraid of failure, when you're not afraid of pain, nothing can hold you back. Most people are controlled by fear. Fear of what others think, fear of failing, fear of succeeding and not being able to handle it, fear of being exposed as a fraud, fear of wasting time, fear of making the wrong choice. And all that fear keeps them paralyzed, keeps them stuck, keeps them safe and small and unfulfilled. But you don't have to live that way. You can choose courage over comfort. You can choose growth over safety. You can choose to do the thing that scares you. And every time you do, you take back a piece of your power. You prove to yourself that fear doesn't control you. You prove that you're capable of more than you thought. And slowly, gradually, you become someone who isn't controlled by fear anymore. You become someone who feels the fear and does it anyway. That's what courage is. It's not the absence of fear. It's the decision to move forward despite the fear. It's acknowledging that yes, this is scary, and I'm doing it anyway. Yes, I might fail, and I'm trying anyway. Yes, people might judge me, and I'm showing up anyway. That's courage, and the more you practice it, the more natural it becomes. And here's what happens when you start living courageously. You inspire other people. You give them permission to do the same. You show them that it's possible, that you don't have to have it all figured out, that you don't have to be perfect, that you just have to be willing to try, willing to fail, willing to get back up and try again, because that's all anyone who's ever achieved anything has done. They tried, they failed, they learned, they adjusted, they tried again. And they kept doing that until they figured it out. There's no secret formula. There's no magic trick. There's just consistent effort over time. There's just showing up even when you don't feel like it. There's just doing the work even when you don't see results yet. And I know that's not sexy. I know you want me to tell you there's a shortcut, that there's a hack, that if you just do this one thing, everything will change. But that would be a lie. And lying to you doesn't serve you. What serves you is the truth. And the truth is that building anything worth having takes time. It takes effort. It takes sacrifice. It takes pain. But it's worth it. It's so worth it. Because on the other side of all that work, all that pain, all that struggle, is a life you're proud of. A life you built with your own hands. A life that nobody can take from you because you earned it. And that feeling, that sense of accomplishment, that knowledge that you did what you said you were going to do, that's priceless. That's what makes all the struggle worth it. So don't run from the pain. Don't avoid the work. Embrace it. Fall in love with it. Because the pain is temporary, but the pride lasts forever. The struggle is temporary, but the strength lasts forever. The discomfort is temporary, but the growth lasts forever. And years from now, when you're living the life you dreamed about, when you're the person you always wanted to be, you'll look back at this moment, this exact moment right now, and you'll realize this was the turning point. This was when you stopped making excuses and started making moves. This was when you stopped waiting and started doing. This was when you fell in love with the work and learned to enjoy the pain. So make this moment count. Make this moment matter. Decide right now that things are going to be different. Not tomorrow, not next week, right now. Because every moment you wait is a moment you're choosing to stay where you are. And I don't think you want to stay where you are. I think you want more. I think you're capable of more. I think you know you're meant for more. So go get it. Stop talking about it and go get it. Stop planning and go get it. Stop waiting for the perfect time and go get it. Because the perfect time doesn't exist. There's only now. And now is all you have. So use it. Make it count. Do the work. Embrace the pain. Fall in love with the process. And become the person you know you're capable of being. This is your time. This is your moment. This is your life. Don't waste it. Don't throw it away on comfort and convenience. Don't settle for less than you deserve. Go after what you want with everything you have. Fight for it, bleed for it, suffer for it, because that's what makes it yours. That's what makes it meaningful. That's what makes it worth it. The world doesn't need more people who are comfortable. The world needs people who are willing to be uncomfortable, who are willing to push boundaries, who are willing to challenge themselves, who are willing to do hard things. Be that person. Be the one who shows up when everyone else quits. Be the one who keeps going when everyone else stops. Be the one who believes when everyone else doubts. Because that's who you are. That's who you've always been. You just forgot for a while. But now you remember. Now you know. Now you understand. The work is the reward. The pain is the teacher. And falling in love with both is what sets you free. So get up. Get moving. Get to work. And don't stop until you become everything you know you're capable of becoming. Fall in love with the grind. Enjoy the pain. Embrace every challenge. Welcome every obstacle. Because each one is an opportunity to prove what you're made of. Each one is a chance to grow stronger. Each one is a step toward the person you're becoming. And never forget, you're not doing this for anyone else. You're doing this for you, for the person you see in the mirror, for the voice inside your head that knows you're capable of more, for the future version of yourself who's counting on you to do the work today. Don't let that person down. Don't quit on yourself. Show up, do the work, and trust that everything you're doing matters. Every rep, every hour, every sacrifice. It all matters. It all counts. It's all building towards something bigger than you can see right now. So keep going, keep pushing, keep believing, and watch what happens when you finally stop holding yourself back. Watch what happens when you fully commit. Watch what happens when you fall in love with the work and learn to enjoy the pain. Your life will never be the same. And that's exactly what you want. That's exactly what you need. That's exactly what you deserve. This is your time. Don't waste it.